We've talked about who makes the best rebuild kits for the Edelbrock carburetor, for the 4150 series double pumper carburetors, but we haven't talked about the 4160 series yet. So I bought some kits. Let's take a look at each one and see who's got the best one out there. Let's go. The 4160 series carburetor just doesn't get enough love and attention. It's a great carburetor, great street carburetor, good street manners. It's very simple to tune. The vacuum secondaries aren't as complicated as people think. It's got most everything you need for a good drivability. If you tune it right, it's got some decent fuel economy to it as well too. But they just, like I say, they just don't get enough love and attention. But the rebuild kits, there is a wide variety of stuff that's available for these. So I want to talk about the kits that I bought first, how I came to that conclusion, and we'll just talk about each one individually, see which one has the better pieces and parts in it, and which one's the better kit. So let's get started on that right now. So here we are in July of 2023, and whether we like to admit it or not, there's still a supply chain issue within the world today. There's just not everything available like there was 3 years ago, 5 years ago. We're still fighting delivery of all these. So these are all ones that I had in stock at Summit Racing or I could pick up locally. So let's talk about that for a quick second of where I got each one and the price of each. So the cheapest one is the Summit kit at $39.95. They had it in stock, thankfully, at the time that I ordered everything, good to go. The next one that's the cheapest is the Edelbrock kit at $43.95, and the reason I include this kit, same reason we did the double pumper kit, it's available locally anywhere you are if you've got an O'Reilly Auto Parts store here in the U.S. They stock these on the shelf for the double pumper and the 4150 series carburetor. That's a big deal because if you get stuck last minute and you need something immediately, the Edelbrock kit is going to be on the shelf there at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. That's a big one to me, and it happens to be the second cheapest kit. The next one is the AED kit, which comes in at $47.99. Now, if we remember back to the double pumper video, the AED kit was, I think, one of the more expensive kits. I'll have to go back and look at it. And the big one here is the Quick Fuel kit. Now, the Quick Fuel one has everything in it. It's what I like about the AED, the really high-end AED kits. That one's got all the hardware in it, which looks like it's got some of the bolts and hardware. So we'll break that open and see what it is. But that's the most expensive one I have here, $65.95. So I'll leave links to all these down in the description so you can kind of check them out, see what the price is at the time you watch the video. But we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the double pumper kit. I'm going to break all of these open. I'm going to lay them out in no particular order, and then we're just going to start going piece by piece and see what each one has and which one has the better pieces in it. So let me do that. Let me get it all out of the packages, and we'll lay it all out, and we'll go from there. We're going to cover this exactly the way we covered the 4150 series kits because I think it just break it down into different categories of stuff. So let's talk about instructions first because I want to clear some room here. And let's take a look at the Summit kit here first and see what they talk about here. The Summit kit's kind of interesting. These aren't instructions. This is a pep talk and a rough set of if you were going to text your buddy on how to do these. There's no real detail here. It's just a little bit of, how to scrape the parts, make sure you clean it, keep things a little organized. I wouldn't call these some of you should be embarrassed by those. That's horrible. I expect better from you, even from your cheap Chinese knockoff kit. That's not very good. I think really similar to the the 4150 kit. And excuse me here while I take a minute to open these up. That's not bad. It's pretty step-by-step disassembly. You've got it in multiple languages here. And then they cover assembly. Not too bad. I'm going to fold this down to take the other language out here so you can kind of see. But essentially that's it. They give some pictures. I don't have to read this over in detail, but based on what we just saw with the Summit kit, yeah. So, yeah, a couple of different languages here. English and Spanish for sure. I didn't catch what that other one was. Not really paying too much attention to it, but the English side here is what we want to concentrate on, I guess. And these aren't too bad. It looks like it goes into some detail, how to tighten it up or how things work, where to go, cleaning. Not bad. So talk about float adjustment. That's critical. Certainly talking about the vacuum secondary. Kind of like it. So far, so good on this one. If I remember correctly, on the 4150 series kit, the Edelbrock instructions were pretty much the same way. So I'm going to call this a really good set of instructions, no matter what language you're looking at it in. So that's the Edelbrock instructions. French was the other language, and I know that sounds a little bit weird, but you got to consider our friends up north in Quebec. Yeah, so Spanish, English, and French. Good set. If I remember right from the AED kit before, these are not really instructions. It's just a exploded view of the carburetor to show you all the bits and pieces and, you know, kind of where everything goes, an exploded view, and then a description of what those parts are. And the Edelbrock didn't have an exploded view. I would have liked to have seen that in those instructions, but again, these aren't instructions. This is just an assembly, and yeah, not great, but I certainly wouldn't call them instructions. Meh. The Quick Fuel kit, which was the most expensive kit, doesn't have anything in it. There's no instructions. There's no good luck, no pep talk like some it gives you here. So yeah, if you're looking for instructions, you better go watch a YouTube video on how to rebuild a 4160 series carburetor, because the Quick Fuel kit doesn't give you any. So now that we got that out of the way, let's start looking at all the individual components of these, and we'll kind of break it down into like little segments here, so we're not, you know, this isn't a 4-hour video. Let's start stacking up some things that are kind of similar here. So this is the vacuum secondary. Looks like we all have one here, so everybody's good to go there. Accelerator pump, that's the 30cc. Looks like everybody's good to go there. Nothing out of the ordinary. Power valve, nicely marked on the Summit. On the 6.5, which I'm assuming nicely marked on the Edelbrock. I'm assuming these are all going to be 6.5. The AED one's kind of hard to read, but it looks like it's a 6.5. I've got bad eyes. Really nice on the 6.5. Here's something kind of interesting, though. It looks like I guess it is still for they include the spring for under the accelerator pump, and what is really cool is this is more almost like a tuning kit. On that Quick Fuel has the springs for the vacuum secondary pod. That is a very nice benefit to that kit. So we are certainly happy with how that comes there. So so far I kind of like how that's laid out. Let's do something simple here and just start taking gaskets, because we're going to get into a situation here where I think they're all going to be pretty close to the same. Seen these before. They're not bad, I guess, but that rear secondary block, you don't have that off very often. So I guess I can see that, but still not really a big fan of it. Edelbrock's got these black gaskets, which they're not bad. They do tend to release pretty easily, so they're almost like a blue gasket in that aspect. So they're not bad. This is interesting on the AED kit. They come with the really nice red gaskets, which I kind of like, and then a couple of the blue, and then just one of the block gaskets. So that's not bad, but yeah, I kind of like the AED kit in that aspect with the nicer gasket. Certainly nice. And then on the Quick Fuel, we're kind of almost mimicking the Summit. which I'm wondering if they're not buying these from the same place. Yeah, nice blue gaskets, and then that funky one. So, okay, well, something to keep in mind. They usually kind of tell a tale of that when you're tearing these apart like that. But so far, I guess they're all pretty much equal in that aspect. I guess the AED is a little bit nicer with the red gaskets in here. So let's keep breaking this down. Let's grab some of these gaskets here, dwindle this down a little bit. Summit kit's got a lot of different base plate gaskets. We'll have to do a little bit of research on that, but I think it's probably going to cover quite a few of the different 4160 style carburetor base plate between the base and the main body. So that's not bad. That's the one for the electric choke. So kind of nice here. They give you a lot of different options. I wish the instructions would get a little bit more in depth, but maybe the part number search will tell you more of what carburetors that fits. So that's not bad. Looks like the Edelbrock is pretty close. Maybe a few less here, but for the most part, same thing. Electric choke gasket. AED kit's really limited, I think, on which ones it fits. All using the similar gasket material. I guess that's not too bad. Let's take a look here. Okay. The quick fuel kit, I guess it's probably pretty close to the Edelbrock. Got about the same assortment of these gaskets. Not bad. Does not have the electric choke gasket, unless I missed it. I didn't, so it's kind of a weird one there. Let's take a look here just really quickly. Base plate gasket. It's that same material that a lot of them are using. So it's a common gasket material. See it quite frequently. Edelbrock's got a decent one. Air cleaner gasket. Huge. This is a big pet peeve of mine when these are not included in there. And yeah, the Summit kit does not have it for whatever reason. I know it's probably cheaper to not include it, but you've got to replace this. You've got to make sure it's got a good gasket. Having an extra one of these is big, so good on Edelbrock. AED's is a letdown here. There's no air cleaner gasket here. And then the quick fuel one, I don't really like that, but it's still there, so I guess that's a good one on them. So let's take a look at all the individual hardware, because I think this is where it's going to really show some differences here between these kits. Like I mentioned, this is where I think things are going to get really different. Yeah, those are interesting. Needle and seats. The AED ones are very similar. Actually, they're all similar except for the Edelbrock. Edelbrocks are more of that old school Holley, and yeah, I can't recall the difference in these right off, but they're all the 110, I'm sure. So interesting. So, but they're all pretty much the same. Okay, gaskets here. Power valve, fuel. Yeah, I like they've got the nice red gaskets in this Summit kit. A little weird though that they included those and not on anything else, but neither here nor there. So, okay. Pretty much same. Now the AED kit starts to get a little different here. So I do like the red gaskets, and then those are certainly a good. Never really a big fan of these plastic. I get it, they're probably more cost effective, but the red ones are certainly the premium, so it's kind of weird that they include the best and the worst. So whatever. Again, I think it's just more of a preference on that point. Now, let's take a look at all the little individual stuff here. I do like the Summit kit has the nice hardware. That is certainly a benefit. So, very cool there. Edelbrock kit does not come with any hardware. Same on the AED kit. Does come with the nice hardware. I liked a little bit more of the modern hardware there. And as everything goes flying, the quick fuel kit is certainly nice there. So yeah, 3 of the 4 are good on that. So now those are for the transfer tube. Thank God none of them include the O-rings anymore. I'm assuming not. If they do, I'm going to freak out. Everybody looks to be good so far there. Those are good. So yeah, they're not including that horrible O-ring anymore. You go to the needle and seat hardware. Again, just interesting. Just kind of pick through here to see what they do and they don't include. But yeah, not bad. It seems they're all pretty close. Kind of weird though, the number that they provide in here, but you know, you got 2 needle and seats and you got more hardware for it. So AED kit, you're disappointing me on this. Again, I'm never going to be a fan of this plastic stuff. It does seem to work okay, and I'm not dogging it, you know, but it's the bottom rung of the ladder here. It's not the best, and I guess it's probably the worst, so we'll just call that awful. Looks like the quick fuel kit gives us quite a few, again, of the best and the worst, kind of like the Summit kit did. So interesting, but okay. Everything else here is pretty standard, I think. Let's just take a look and find some differences here. The Summit kit comes with the idle speed or the idle mixture screws. That's a bonus. Nothing on the Edelbrock. They do on the AED kit, which I kind of expected it to. And that nice high dollar quick fuel kit has them as well too. Everything else is pretty close to being the same. I'm not going to nitpick all these individually, but yeah, for the most part, there's nothing here that's jumping out at me that's not included in one, included in the other. So I'm going to call that kind of a push. That's interesting. On the AED kit comes for one for the squirter or the nozzle, whichever you're going to call it. Don't think. Yeah, let's talk about this this quick fuel kit for a second. This is where all your money comes from when you're paying for this quick fuel kit. Now, if you're working with an older carburetor, a little crustier, nasty, you know, having all new hardware is just, there's something about it that just makes everything go together so well. And it's interesting, they even kind of double up on some of the hardware here. So I'm assuming this is just a package of stuff. More of the idle mixture screws, one for the nozzle, it's just the regular one. Yeah, the sight, all the little weird odd ones. So yeah, it's just kind of a nice little deal. If you got any hardware that's kind of crusty, dirty, disgusting, ugly, that AED kit, or excuse me, that quick fuel kit is just absolute money. There's nothing that's going to beat that. So no one else had that that option for that extra one. It's why I want to get a really high-end kit. Yeah, you're going to pay a lot more money for it, but boy, it's really nice to have that. So now we got all laid out here, let's talk about this as kind of a summary of what's going on here. One last little thing we didn't talk about, but we did in the first video when we were covering the 4150 series, is the packaging. Edelbrock packaging is decent. It's kind of what you're used to for a rebuild kit. These clamshell packages are okay, I guess. They do the job. This AED kit, for as much as I like the high-end AED kits, this packaging sucks. It's a massive pain to get out of there. I actually cut the base plate gasket doing it, but kind of a little deal. But yeah, just kind of a little annoyance on that one. Let's talk about how I rank these. So I talked about what I liked, but I give these always give these a little bit of a numbering deal. Here's the way this works out. The lowest number makes it the best. So when you add all these up, the lowest number means the best kit. It's no real surprise here that quick fuel kit with all the hardware, everything, just ended up being the best kit, and just didn't really plan it this way, but it kind of was ranked from right to left, best to worst. The quick fuel kit was the best, a AED kit right behind it, Edelbrock right behind it, and the Summit kit, well, not going to really talk about it that much. In a pinch, if you're stuck, the only one of these you're going to buy locally immediately, last minute, got to have it, is the Edelbrock kit, and it's really kind of one of the better priced kits. So if you're stuck in a pinch and you got to have it immediately, that Edelbrock kit's the best, your only choice. And really, it's not that bad. It's got a couple of things that's the best in, and a couple it's not so much. So basic kit, you're going to get what you need to get started and get you down the road. Same with that Summit kit, for as cheap as price as it is. And again, we kind of went that same way as well too. Cheap to most expensive. It's going to be okay. It's just, that's it. It's okay. It's not, again, you're going to have to order it. You're going to have to wait a couple of days for it. If you're going to do that, you might as well just buy the Edelbrock kit, spend a couple more bucks, and get your vehicle down the road a little bit quicker. But yeah, really what it all boils down to is that quick fuel kit, really just because it has all that extra hardware in it. So if you got anything that's cruddy, nasty, missing, that quick fuel kit's just going to be money every time. So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope it wasn't too crazy with a little bit, but again, that's just how I rank things, and how I'm going to look at it every single time. So anyway, if you got anything out of that, please give me a thumbs up down below. I've got something special in store for these 4160s that I've kind of grabbed up over time, and we'll do something with that on the next video. So anything, you've got any questions, don't hesitate to leave them down below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. We'll see you.